Hi. So if you are a brand manager or a marketer, this is really meant for you. What am I saying? We are in the middle of a real tough economy. Growth rates are down, money is tight, cash flows are tight, and yet you have targets to meet. You have numbers which you have promised to your board, to your shareholders, and you got to meet them. Except the consumer is not buying as much. And really, do you have money to do your multiple television and print campaigns anymore? Do you think your CFO is going to sign off on all those numbers? So where does that put you? I mean, one side there is a stress of delivering your numbers. Other side there isn't enough money to do your multiple television campaigns. And yet you got to reach your product to your consumer. You got to convince them. You got to tell him the story that he should buy your product. And so what are you doing about it? Going back to your board, going back to your CFO and negotiating and trying to see if they'll still give you some money? Maybe do a lower budget television film or do a smaller campaign on print? Is that the best really? Well, you know what? Wake up to digital. If you had, let's say, 100 crore budget for television or print last year, and you don't have that kind of money today, at a fraction of that kind of money today, you will still potentially meet your desired ends. I mean, depending on the category, of course, using digital. And the point I'm conveying to you at this part in this communication is to look at digital as a genuine and real alternative, especially in current times when money is tight. Okay. So when you think digital, it's not just about going out there and putting up a banner ad or buying Google ads or buying SEO, business SEO activity. Because remember, if people were already looking for your product, which is when SEM or Google kicks in, you probably don't even need advertising as much because they'll walk up to your store. You have invested in advertising all these years, you have created a certain top of mind recall, and that would have worked for you without doing too much of advertising. When you are doing advertising, when you are doing any other kind of promotion, what you are trying to do is convince a consumer who wasn't even thinking of buying a product, giving him the whole spiel, the whole story, to probably bring him back to your store, to your online store and buy. Now that's a fairly intense communication activity, and which is not so easily done with just putting up a banner on a website or buying Google ads. There is a different strategy which you need to use. This is exactly where social media comes in. Now, the first hint of social media, and the mind might start thinking in terms of Facebook likes and Twitter followers and all. Yes, that was version 1.0 of social media for brands. What we are talking about now, what I am talking about at this point, take social media beyond just the likes and followers game and to that space where it can actually generate business results for you. And specifically in the space of marketing or brand building or advertising, it can play crucial roles in getting across to your consumer and taking your story out there and delivering the communication which you were otherwise delivering on very much more expensive media like print and television. What is available on social media, which is what I'm referring to. So yes, you will have your Facebook page and Twitter and other things and maybe YouTube, which is where you're communicating, but when we are talking about a business focus, we are getting to a point in social media which is far more deeper and far more powerful and which is available today thanks to innovation in targeting and specific marketing opportunities that Facebook is offering today. As an example, and also the same goes with other platforms like LinkedIn or YouTube and Twitter. Let's just take a case of Facebook. So one part or one side of the story was to build a Facebook page with a lot of followers, which is what a lot of brands did in phase one. Then came the challenge that all of these followers are there, but they are hardly even getting my communication because they are not getting my updates. Facebook will only allow your updates to go to a certain number of people due to concepts like age, rank, and others. And then what should I keep talking to them about? So I'm an FMCG company. Should I still talk to them about Bollywood because that's what interests them? That was what social media became beyond the point after all. That fun part of building followers was lost. What next? Well, there is a lot more that you can do. Let's take an example that you have a large customer database, which you already have. You have built it over the years. How about reaching those very customers through Facebook? So one thing is clear, there are people who have bought from you at some point of time or the other. There's a way that Facebook provides, using a concept known as custom audience, that you can reach those specific people. They may not even have been your fans on Facebook so far, but you can get across specifically to them and convey a very relevant communication message, which is far higher chance or far higher opportunity to convert to new business for you. Okay. So for example, you are a telecom operator and you have this database of people who used to be your prepaid customers and who are not your customers today, but you have like 500,000 of those in the database. Can you connect to them and offer them a special deal which will perhaps make maybe 100,000 of them come back and buy your SIM cards again? Is that possible? Oh, very rarely. It's definitely possible. Or for example, let's say you are a real estate company. You have done several launches in the past with huge spends of money in the media, and which have all attracted a lot of people to come and visit the site and fill out those forms which your salespeople gave them when they took a tour of the launch facility and go away. They did not book a property at that time. But over time, you have accumulated a decent database of those kinds of prospects. These were people who at one point of time showed interest in your properties. Would it be interesting to go back to them very specifically, rather than spending several lakhs of rupees in one more full-page ad in Times of India, to take the route through Facebook and reach those very specific people and tell them about your project and how it's going ahead and how many floors are already constructed and what is the current state, and showing them some pictures of the property, so those who were interested might be tempted to come back and talk to you and maybe this time around come and book a property with you. All this is possible. How about going a step further? How about going to a point where you can engage with your customers almost on one-to-one in real time, again through Facebook. Social Wavelength has come up with this concept called a social real-time filter, which can potentially marry your customer database with a Facebook presence and in real time send out communication to that customer, perhaps impacting a forthcoming premium which he has to pay for insurance or something of that kind. Does all this sound really interesting? Well, you know what, it's all possible today. It's not futuristic. And there are many other such innovations. There are innovations which are available today on Twitter, innovations available on YouTube. There's some phenomenal targeting opportunities available on LinkedIn. And all of these at a fraction of a cost of what you'd spend in a mainline media campaign. So cutting to the chase, recognizing that times are tough, money is tight, you can't spend 100 crores, you won't get them from your CFO. How about spending 2 crores on digital? Not 2 crores, 1 crore? Okay. with just a crore or 2 crores of spend on digital, you are going to be able to get some fantastic targeting opportunities which are extremely business driven, and specifically through social media. I'm saying not even generalizing the digital space, specifically on social media, and which can deliver you results which I would say take the wastage out of the mainline campaign. They will deliver you almost as good and as measurable results as any mainline campaign could give you. Want to give it a shot? Talk to us. Thank you.